started seeing really the effect that we started making in the community. So through World Financial Group, I created a platform called Prosperity Leaders, because one of the things that I found is that, first of all, when it comes to the American system, everything wants to be translated into Spanish. But I found two things. Number one, that we just don't need just need a translation. We need an understanding of our culture, how we work, how and all of that. The other thing is that there are many of us that that came here when we were very young, and it was not me, but I understood that there were many others that Spanish was not actually the first language, right? And also not everybody is Spanish that are immigrants, right? And so that's why we wanted to create this one. We're going to have a Spanish workshop. We always do have, but today it's going to probably be more English or maybe Spanglish. That depends on the speaker. But let me introduce this person, because there are many amazing stories like that, like Jenny. But then you have this person that was born in Mexico, came to the US at the age of 4, and have been living in New York City since then. So she went to school to be a medical assistant. And together with her family, she opened a restaurant. So they've been working in that restaurant as a family, really good food. So if you come to New York at any time near Staten Island, give her a call. Her name is Jasmine. I'm gonna give her a minute for her to say hi. Jasmine Everett.
Hi guys, thank you, Sebastian. Yes, so I am, I'm Yasmin Everett. I am also a DACA recipient. I was born in Mexico, and I've been in New York since I was 4. So I've been here for over 30 years. And honestly, if it wasn't for DACA, I don't know what my life would be like right now. Just having DACA, is such a good thing that happened to us. And then learning about finances, getting to know Sebastian and Jenny, these great mentors, just learning about everything and just wanting to teach everybody about it. You guys are going to learn so much. And I'm so excited that you guys took the time out to come and join us, took an hour out of your day. You guys are going to learn some amazing things. And that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, great. And then we have this gentleman. He was also born in Mexico. Okay, he was brought to the country at 5 years old, probably against his will. I don't know, like many of us. DACA recipient, and worked at McDonald's for 14 years. He started at McDonald's making French fries, and he was making $5.15 per hour. And then he started getting promotions there. He became a district manager. And at one point, he was running over 5 restaurants, making over 6 figures. When I met him, that was the first time I thought that everybody in McDonald's made $5.15, but he was making a 6-figure. I was like, okay, so there are many opportunities out there. In 2022, he decided to start a new chapter, and he became a financial professional. He opened his own office in Iowa. So if you're in Iowa, just go and meet here, Omar Samaniego. Go ahead, Omar.
Hello, everybody. And like Yasmin said, we're excited for everybody to take the time to, join us tonight. Like Sebastian said, I've been in this country for over, 25 years now. And yeah, I started working at McDonald's way before DACA came out. And then when DACA came and I was able to, be a recipient of it, I had to make a hard choice, because at that point, like Sebastian said, I was working at McDonald's, but I was at a position where I was in charge of a restaurant. So I had to make the hard choice of, do I come out and tell my boss, hey, I've been lying to you this whole time, this is who I really am, or do I just leave and start fresh somewhere else? And I decided to stay, come clean, let them know the truth, and they were more than willing to work with me. Obviously, I got rehired with my information this time, being, that I was able to work with my own information. And, I've been able to learn a lot. Like Sebastian said, last year I took a plunge and I decided to change careers from being a district manager, being in charge of over 150 employees, to starting my own business. And now I have my own, office here in Iowa. I'm learning a lot from Sebastian and Jenny, and then all these other great people that are with me. And yeah, we're just here to teach everybody some, financial education. And we're hoping that, we can inspire some of you guys to, learn and grow with us. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much, Omar. And then this next person, so she's one of the reasons why we're here today, because she came with this, I don't know if idea, but purpose in her heart that she wanted to take the information. We do a lot of financial workshops, but she wanted to target it specifically to our immigrant community. We're living in very tough times now, today, especially with all of our immigrant communities, especially undocumented community. And so we need to support each other. But one of the things that we see is that through education in all areas, we can improve our lifestyle for all of our communities. And so she came with this to Jenny and I and Jasmine and Omar and say, hey, can we do something so we can expand financial literacy to our immigrant community? Many are afraid to open a bank account. Many are still thinking that, what if I'm deported and I have all my money safe here, they're gonna stay with my money. They don't know the rights and all of that. So today we're gonna start with the Financial Foundation, but let me introduce her. She is a teacher, which, now kind of like you can see that she has the vocation of teaching, of educating other people, and she's in California. So she was also brought here from Mexico, was born in Mexico, came to the US at the age of 6 years. So let me introduce to you to Ana Garcia from California.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for the introduction, Sebastian. So like Sebastian said, I was born in Mexico. I was brought to this country at 6 years old. So it was a complete culture shock. I had no English. I didn't know anybody here. But just like Yasmin and Omar, it's been a great just blessing to have DACA. I went to college and finished my degree and was ready to start working as a teacher, but I didn't have any legal documentation. So then I was just stuck. And then in 2012, we got DACA. So then I was able to apply at districts in the surrounding area, and I got hired here at the district where I started as a child. So I'm teaching in the same school district that I attended, and it's such a great feeling to be able to give back to the community and be able to teach our children. And I started with Jenny and Sebastian last year in finances, and I saw the big kind of like lack of knowledge in our community. And I thought, this is somewhere where we can inform people. This is somewhere where we can bring what we know and share it. And this is why we're here tonight. So we want to be able to inform our communities of all the possibilities that are out there that maybe you don't know about. So that's what we're gonna get started. And thank you for coming, everybody.
All right, everybody. So great. So we're gonna get started. Thank you so much, Anna, and thank you, Omar and Jasmine. So today we're gonna start with Anna and Jasmine. They're gonna share some financial concepts. If you have any questions, you can leave it for the end. At the end, we're going to share the contact information of the speakers today. You can reach out to them, social media, email, or any other way. Also, Prosperity Leaders, we are a big team, so there may be somebody else who have shared this event with you, who have connected with you. You can ask them questions to them as well. So let's get it started.
All right, so I'm going to get started with the financial foundation. Okay, and so our financial foundation, we're going to start with some of the financial struggles that we may face. The first struggle that we face is that debt is very high. As you know, a lot of people have different types of debt, including credit card debt. Maybe some people have student loans. Maybe some of you have mortgages or other personal loans. All of this debt can lead kind of like to a financial stress, and it can make it very hard for people to be able to meet their monthly goals and save for the future. So that's one of the big struggles that we have, is that we have very high debt. It says here that on average, a household carries about $6,741 of debt. And when you have to pay debt, you also have to think about, okay, I'm paying it off, but if we're only making the monthly payment, the minimum payment, then we're going to accrue more debt, because then we have to pay interest at the end of the year, or however you pay your credit card debt or whatever loan you have. So that's a big struggle that we have. Another big financial struggle that we have is that our savings are very low right now. 50% of families here in the US are only able to have 4 to 6 months of savings in their accounts. So think about that. That's like half of the people in our country have savings that will last them 4 to 6 months. But then what happens when those 4 to 6 months are up and you still have some kind of emergency, where maybe you lost your job, or maybe there was some hardship, medical hardship. So only 50% of people are prepared, but only for 4 to 6 months. Of those people that do have those monies saved for 4 to 6 months, a third of those people are in the age of 30 to 49, but they haven't started saving for retirement. So maybe they have saved for their emergency fund, the 4 to 6 months, but then they don't have anything past that. So they don't have money saved up for retirement. So that's a big struggle. Lastly, the next struggle is having low wages. So a lot of American workers, and I know us as immigrants, we work very, very hard to get the money we have, right? But the wages don't really help us out. A lot of Americans and a lot of immigrants especially are working and getting paid very low wages. In our community, it's sad to say, but some of us in our immigrant community are not even getting paid minimum wage. If they're getting paid under the table, then maybe they earn less than what their state requires. So a lot of people here in the US, 44%, they're seeing that they have low wages, they're earning low wages. And 55%, more than half of the people here in the US know that they don't have enough money to invest and to maintain their living expenses. So all the debt that they have, whether it be from loans or credit cards or bills that you have to pay throughout the month, they're not meeting that. So now that we've discussed some of the financial struggles, let's shift our focus onto the three-legged stool of retirement income. So financially, the struggles that we have financially, they can make it very hard for us to save for retirement, right? But understanding this system here, what we call the three-legged stool, can help individuals, it can help you be more prepared for the future. Okay, so the three-legged stool, what do we have here? This refers to a traditional way that people used to get their money to be able to be ready for retirement. Okay, so what is it composed of? First of all, we have Social Security. So you know that when you're working, part of the money that you're working goes to your Social Security account, right? That's what traditionally happens. Another way that people used to be able to save for retirement was by having company pensions. So this refers to any type of money that your employer will give you after your retirement. When your retirement years come, then your employer gives you that money for your retirement. Okay, and then lastly, people would use their personal savings. So traditionally, this is how people used to be able to get ready for retirement. And those three legs of the stool, they were solid, right? People could be able to count on it. But lately, and as you may have heard, Social Security is kind of up in the air, right? Like we don't know what's going to happen with it. Back in the days when people used to be able to count on Social Security, it was 42 people working and then one person retired. So a lot of people feeding into Social Security and then just one person retired. But within the last year, it's 3 people working, 1 retires. So a lot less money is being fed into Social Security. So that's why we're always thinking, and you're always hearing, oh, we don't know what's going to happen with Social Security. So what can we do now that we've explored this three-legged stool of retirement? Sorry, we have to delve into the building blocks of a strong financial education. So let's see these elements and what they each represent. Okay, so our first element here, we're going to start kind of like from the bottom up, right? How do we build a house? From the bottom up. That's how we need to build our finances as well. This is our financial foundation. So the first step for us to be able to reach financial security is getting ourselves protected. Okay, so this is a big part of the foundation. Be protected. So you need to protect all your assets through various different types of maybe insurances or insurance coverages, maybe such as health insurance, life insurance, disability insurance. You need to be protected just in case something happens, your family is protected. Okay, after that, we need to do debt elimination. So once you're protected, then you need to start looking at, what do I owe? What do I need to pay off? So you need to start by prioritizing which way do you want to start eliminating your debt. And Yasmin will talk a little bit more about ways to eliminate debt in just a little while. Okay, after you look at debt elimination and you think about what do I need to do to eliminate my debt, then you start doing your emergency fund. And the emergency fund is what I talked about earlier, that only 50% of Americans' households have. An emergency fund is considered as 4 to 6 months of savings of an amount that you would use to pay off monthly. So say that you have a mortgage, you have a car payment, you have your different bills. Add that up for 1 month and see what that amount is, and then multiply that by 4 or by 6 so that you are prepared. If something happens, if you, God forbid, there's an accident or you lose your job, that emergency fund is going to be there for you to be able to continue making your payments. So that's a very important part that maybe a lot of us don't think about. Like, we're trying to pay bills monthly and we're trying to keep up and it's hard. But having that emergency fund, it's kind of like having a peace of mind that if something happens, I have this money there. Okay. And then lastly, we could look at investments. So if you already eliminated your debt, if you have your emergency fund in case something happens, then our last step is, okay, I have some money. Where could I invest it? Where could I grow this money? Okay, so these are the financial foundations. Like I said, it's like building a house. We need to start from the bottom and work our way up. Okay, so we've established the importance of the building a strong financial foundation. Let's move on to understanding the wealth formula. So what does it mean to have wealth? So it means how much assets or how many assets you have, right? So this formula here gives you some insight as to how these different elements contribute to your wealth over time. Okay, so first we start off with money. How do you gain money? Usually by working, correct? So most of us here have worked probably since we were very young. I know I started working with my parents since I was like in middle school. So I know a lot of us are working very hard to earn the money that we have. So if we have money and then we add time, so that means how is your money, how much money are you going to have over time, or how could your money grow over time? Okay, so then when we have the money, we add the time to it and make it grow. Then we have plus or minus rate of return. So is our money going to increase over time, or is it going to decrease? And then we take away from our money inflation. As you know, right now, everybody's talking about inflation, right? Everything's getting so much more expensive. You could just going to the supermarket, you could tell the inflation is real, right? Like what used to buy you, go to the grocery store, you used to have $100, it would get you a pretty good size, your cart would fill up. But right now that's not the case. It's like you have $100 and what could you buy? Some eggs, some milk, and what else? A little bit of meat. So it's not, inflation is real. So you got to take that into consideration. And then you also have to remove the taxes. As you know, we all pay taxes, whether it is we're getting taxed when getting it reduced from your paycheck, or you're paying it during tax season. And then you're also getting taxed with whenever you buy something, right? Consumer items. So we got to remove that from our money also. So what's left over from all of that, then that's going to be considered our wealth. Okay, so now that we know that wealth formula, let's shift our focus to the importance of cultivating good money habits. Okay, so or understanding money habits. So what do we have to do? We need to pay ourselves first. Okay, we have the tendency, I know in my culture is like, if I have the money and I have something to pay, I'm going to pay it. Or if I have the money and I want to splurge on something, what do we say? Like, solo se vive una vez, you only live once. Let's go ahead and buy that fancy purse or whatever it may be, right? But sometimes we don't think about paying ourselves first. Sometimes we just spend the money, pay our bills, and then we go out and enjoy the rest of it, right? Well, you're enjoying now, but then what about later? We got to think about that. So pay yourself first. Let's set aside 5%, 10% of your income to be ready for the future. If you're able to save more than that, go for it. If you're able to save 15% or even more than that, go ahead and do it. And you need to save it, right? Pay yourself first. Save it for when you're older. And maybe right now, maybe your income is great, but is it always going to be that? Are you always going to be working? I see my parents, just like Yasmin's family, they have a restaurant. And it's tough to see that they're much older now and they're still working very, very hard. But they're older and they're only getting older. So it's hard to say like they have to keep working, right? Like if they would have started saving when they were younger, maybe right now they wouldn't have to work, but they still do. So we need to learn to pay ourselves first. The next thing we need to know is that we need to spend on what we need. So a lot of us, I know it seems obvious, like, well, yeah, you spend on what you need. You need to have a budget, but a lot of us don't do that. We spend on things that we don't need, right? Like that purse I mentioned earlier. I know sometimes these are like, oh, I really need it. But then it's like, do you really need it? Yeah, we need to think about what is a need and what is a want. So, and then prioritize, like I need food. Yes, I need food. I need to put a roof over my head. Those are things that obviously you need to pay. But so if it's something that you want, maybe think twice about it, or maybe save up for it in your budget so that you could buy it later instead of just doing it because you want it that day. Okay, and then lastly, we need to think about the low wages that we talked about earlier. So spending is a habit, right? Sometimes we don't even think about how much we spend until we really sit down and look at the numbers. I know I was talking to my sister the other day and she's like, oh, I went to a really good restaurant for lunch. I was like, oh, what'd you have? She's like, I don't even know what she had. But then she tells me, I spent $98 for lunch for 2 people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never, like, you really have to think about what am I spending on? So just like spending is a habit and you do it without thinking, saving is a habit too, but you need to cultivate that. So you need to start small, maybe save $10 a day, every day. Imagine if you did that, $10 a day, every day. If you do that each day, how much is that over the year, right? We have 365 days in our year. So it's a lot of money if you start small, and then keep growing, right? So we need to think about our money and spending habits and how can we change them. Okay, so now that we've discussed the importance of cultivating good money habits, let's move on to another aspect that's very crucial, and it's to start early. And start with what? We'll start saving earlier, okay? It's not good to procrastinate and say, I'll save later, because the years fly by. And then later you're already like retirement age and then you didn't save up your whole life. So start early. We're going to take a look at these 2 examples here of these 2 people. The sooner you begin to start saving your money, the more your money grows. Okay, so if we're going to use these two people as an example. So Susan and Sam. Okay, so Susan was smart. She started investing at the age of 25. Okay, so she said, I'm going to invest $100 a month starting at the age of 25. Okay, so Susan does that and she invests only for 10 years. So she invests $100 a month from the age of 25 to the age of 35. In those 10 years, she only put in $12,000. She invested $12,000. If she put her money that in a place that will give her an 8% return, at the age of retirement, at the age of 65, she's going to have a little over $200,000. So that's a pretty good amount of money, right, to have for retirement. Now let's look at Sam. Sam decided that he also wanted to invest $100 a month, but he started saving a little bit later in life. So remember, Susan was 25. Sam starts investing at 35, okay? $100 a month, but he is going to invest for 30 years. So he stops investing. He stops paying that $100 a month when he's 65. That's 30 years. So that means that Sam put out $36,000. So remember, Susan only did 12,000 and her money grew to more than 200,000. But Sam, he had to put in $36,000 over that 30-year span. Well, he also put his money into somewhere that's going to give him an 8% return. But guess what? At the age of 65, he's only going to have $150,000. So he put more money in, but he got less money out. And that's because he started later. So you start later, your money doesn't have enough time to grow. Okay? So don't procrastinate. Start saving early. And with that, I'm going to send you over to Yasmin. Thank you for listening. And I know you're going to get a lot from Yasmin's portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Anna. Those were some great pointers and some great statistics that you showed us. So what we're going to learn about here is the rule of 72. Honestly, this is a very powerful tool. A lot of people don't know about it. I can say a lot of us didn't know about it until we got into finances. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I feel like everybody should be discussing this. So what is the rule of 72? The rule of 72 is an estimation of time that it takes for your money to double. What do you do? You divide the number 72 by the rate of return that you're investing, and then the result is the approximate number of years that it's going to take your money to double. So if you look over to the right-hand side, you see every percentage point matters and every double counts. You have an example. So this person is 19 years old and they are investing $10,000. They're getting a 1% interest rate. And as you can see, by the age of 67, they haven't even doubled their money. They've only gotten $16,000, which is less than 1%. If you look over to 6%, if they were to gain an interest of 6% and they are starting off with $10,000, by 31, they've already doubled their money. By 43, they've doubled it again. And by the age of 67, they've doubled their money 4 times every 12 years. Okay, so that is amazing. Imagine if you were investing your money and you were getting a 12% interest rate. You're putting your money away, $10,000. Throughout the years, by the time you get to 67, you've already doubled your money 8 times. And you've doubled it every 6 years. So from 10,000, you went to 40,000 at the age of 31. And from there, you went to 80. And from there, you went to 160. Like, you just keep doubling your money. This is what the rule of 72 is. A lot of the times we don't really pay attention to this whenever we are putting our money away, like in your savings account or any type of account. You're not really paying attention to how your money is going to really work for you. You just think, oh, I'm going to get money. But yeah, you are going to get money. You just don't know how long it's going to take for you to get that much money. And now another very important concept that we're going to go over is taxes. Now, I know we all know about taxes. We pay taxes to the IRS all the time. You know, Uncle Sam is there every year to collect. We pay taxes when we go and buy something, when we go to the grocery store, when you are buying clothes. We're paying taxes every day throughout the day. Like, our taxes are getting paid. One way or another, we're paying them. And like Anna said, procrastination is the enemy of saving, and time really is money. A lot of people don't know how you can reduce the impact of taxes. So when saving, you want to be sure to consider the effect that taxes can have on your income. What does that mean? There's different ways on how to pay your taxes. There's the tax now, the tax later, and then the tax advantage. Let's talk a little bit more about each one. So a tax now account is usually a savings account. Like I said, we put our money in a savings account, or like a CD. You put your money away and you're going to say, oh, I'm going to get interest, but you're also going to get taxed on that money. Once it's accumulating interest, you're getting taxed on that. Then you have your tax later accounts. A lot of you guys might know tax later accounts are your 401ks. You know, if you have a corporate job, your company will usually offer you a 401k. And a lot of people don't really know a lot about their 401ks. They just know that they're going to put their money in there for retirement, and then they're going to, use it once they retire. Then there's the IRAs accounts, there's the fixed annuities, there's the savings bond. But what people don't know is that while you're putting your money away, by the time you go to take it out, you're going to get taxed on the amount of money that is accumulated over time in those accounts. So you could be putting $50 away, you're going to get interest, but when you go to touch that money, you're going to get hit with the tax later, and you're going to be paying taxes on that. Then we have tax advantages account. What are these accounts? These are Roth IRAs and some cash accumulation in insurance policies. A lot of people don't know that there are so many tax advantages when it comes to having an insurance policy. The benefits are that you're putting money away, and your money is, by the time you go to touch it, or whenever you can, because some of these accounts, you can even touch the money before 7 years, you are not going to be taxed on that money. Your money is going to grow, and it's going to be, this is honestly, I feel like if our parents knew this when they started their business 20 years ago, our parents would be in a much different place. And I think we would be in a much different place also, because they would have taught us this, and our money would be saved away. And then by the time we want to touch it, we won't even have to think about it. We're going to get interest, and we're going to be not paying taxes. I think that is one of the best things that we can do. Let's talk a little bit about debt now. Debt management. Now, honestly, a lot of people in America are living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people are in debt, especially with the crisis that we had with COVID. A lot of people were not working. Businesses were shutting down. I know we're from different states on here, but I know if you're from New York, you know that we had to shut down the city, which is crazy. I've never seen it before. I never even thought it would be possible. COVID-19 came, and a lot of people just could not keep up with their debt. What were they doing? They were spending on the credit cards. They were charging everything. So a lot of people after COVID have credit card debt. Mind you, they didn't have savings. They might have had a little bit, and then they barely had a job, and now they're in debt. So here's an example of somebody that has a $5,000 limit, a $5,000 account. Now their credit interest rate is 18%. That's what their interest rate is being charged on the $5,000. And they are making a monthly payment of $200. That's probably the minimum. That's probably what they can afford. So over the time, it's going to take them 32 months to pay off their credit card debt. And after that, they're going to end up paying $8,000. They're going to pay way more than the $5,000. And they're just going to be getting out of debt, and maybe this is one credit card. We don't even know. A lot of it, because I know that we all have credit cards, and I know that we don't just have one credit card. Okay. You can have so many credit cards and then you swipe. And then when the bill comes, you're like, oh my God, like I have to pay all these credit cards. So what are some tips to eliminate debt? Number one, stop using your credit cards. That is the best thing that you could do. But if you do have the debt, you can pay more than the minimum. So there's two tips that I'm going to give you. There's the snowball strategy, which is when you tackle the lowest balance first. So if you say you have the example here, the $5,000 is your lowest example, is your lowest debt that you have. Let's start with this one. But there's also the avalanche strategy. What is the avalanche strategy? That's where you tackle the highest interest first. So this credit card is $5,000 and it's 18% interest. You can also have another credit card debt with $5,000 at a, let's say 22% interest rate. That interest rate, if here you're paying $8,000 by the time you're done paying, with the other one, you're going to be paying a lot more. And if you're paying the minimum, it's going to be double. It could even be double. So you really want to pay more than the minimum, and you want to pay, figure out which one works for you. If you want to tackle with the snowball strategy and pay the lowest one, go for it. But if you don't want to get the high interest, you don't want it to be more and more and more, you can tackle that one. Everybody's different. These are two examples of what you can do. Let's move on to life insurance. So here I'm going to go over a little bit of details on 4 different types of life insurance. We have the pros and the cons. So we have term life insurance. What is term life? Term life is pretty much when it's like renting a house, right? When you go to rent a house, you're paying an insurance for a set amount of time. Usually it can be from 10, 20, up to 35 years. And what happens is that you're going to be covered for the set amount of time that you have the policy active. A couple of the pros are that it's usually a low cost and it has the highest death benefit. The cons is that you, like I said, it expires. So like renting, when you go to rent a house, you're going to live there for maybe 10, 20, and then you're going to move on and you're going to buy a house. But so you're going to have it for a set amount of time. And another con that with this plan is that you don't have any savings value. We're going to learn a little bit more about that. But if you want to be covered and you want to have your family protected, then you can start with this term life insurance. Then we have the whole life insurance. Whole life is just that. It's insurance for the rest of your life. This is more like when you invest and buy a house and you know that this is where you want to be. This is what you're going to be covered for the rest of your life. A couple of the pros are that you're going to have permanent protection and you're going to have cash value loans. What is a cash value loan? A cash value loan is that you're going to be protected and you're also going to be having money in that account that you're going to be able to use within your policy. A couple of the cons of this insurance is it's usually most expensive premiums and it might have a couple of high interest loans. But at the end of the day, you are going to be covered. You're going to be able to save money in this account and you're going to be able to take out a loan from the whole life. Then we have the universal life. What are some of the pros with the universal life? You have flexible premiums and you also have cash value without no loans. Now, a universal life is like the whole life with a couple of other benefits. A couple of the cons with the universal life, though, is that it's very complex in structure and it has a long-term surrender. So what does that mean? This is something that you want to think about. You really want to commit to this type of coverage. So you want to commit to it because if something happens, there's going to be a penalty, which is a long-term surrender. And, you really have to look at where you are and see what your finances are in order for you to commit to this type of account. Then we have the final expense. And a final expense is usually just that, just like it sounds. It's a final expense. It's going to cover any funeral costs, any burials. It's going to cover any debt that you might have, like health, like for instance, you were in the hospital, though, all of that, and it's going to relieve all of that pressure from your family. You are going to have everything paid off. Your family is not going to have to carry on with that debt. A couple of the pros are that it has paid up options. So for instance, you can do a monthly plan, pay it up, or you can pay it all upfront, and then you're just going to be covered. You're guaranteed to be covered. And it's usually guaranteed approvals. A couple of the cons are that the premiums can be a little bit more expensive, and there might be a lower death benefit, but all of that really matters when it comes to how you're going to get approved for certain accounts, because all of these might sound great and they're all fabulous, but it really depends on how you are and how you want to structure, how you want to leave your family. You know, maybe you don't have a big family, maybe it's just you. So you just really want to have a nice burial and you want to have the final expense. Or maybe you have a big family and you want to have them, you have a mortgage and you want all of that to be safe and not to be a burden on your family. So you might go with a whole life or a universal life. Like I said, all of these types of life insurance are amazing. And it really depends on what you want to do, how you want to be covered. And then we have, so you want to know what's next, right? We went over some great topics. We went over a lot, I know. And I know it may seem like a lot, but what's next? Your financial needs analysis, an FNA. What is a financial needs analysis? It's your financial future depends on how you address your individual circumstances. So there is no one way of preparing for the future that is right for everyone. You know, I went over so many different plans, so many different options. Everybody is unique, but there's one common element. A financial professional will assess your particular needs and help you work towards a sound financial future. It all begins with understanding your current situation and seeing what your next steps for your financial independence are. So, like I said, we're all from different states here. We're all from different backgrounds, and everybody is living a life. Like, for instance, I'm in New York, Anna's in California, Omar's in Iowa, and we are all coming together. Our lifestyles are totally different. You know, like they said, New York right now is the most expensive place to live. And I can tell you that it is very pricey to live in New York. So my financial needs are probably different than Omar. Omar lives in the Midwest. And we were having a conversation and he was telling me about his expenses. And I'm like, New York could never. I always tell him, New York could never. Okay. The amount of money that we pay. Anna gave us a great example of her sister going to lunch for 2 people, $90. That sounds like New York prices to me. That's something my sister would do also. But like I said, we want you guys to reach out to whoever invited you to this presentation. There is going to be a second part. We're going to go over so many more things. And if you're ready to take control over your finances, reach out, guys. That is why we're here. This is why we are putting this together. We feel the community needs this. And if you're young, like when I mean like in your early 20s, this is when you should really start. And if you're older, it's never late. It's never late, okay? There's something for everyone. As long as you're willing to do the work and get your finances in order, we are here to help you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine. All right. Thank you so much to all of the speakers. We're concluding right now, but before we leave, there are a couple of questions that are there, and I think that we can answer. We still have 3 minutes. So let me read the question and see. Hey, Omar, Jasmine, let me spotlight you. There, the spotlight is on you. Anna and Omar. And also, I wanna give a, let me see, she's here, okay. So I want to bring up Jenny. She is in the hospital right now, but she is right here with us as well. I don't know if you can speak, Jenny, and say some words because everybody is expecting to hear from you. I put her in the spotlight too, but I think Jenny's shy today. She's probably with the baby, but probably she's gonna say a few words. So let's go with the questions. So the first question is, Cesar says, will we get a recording of the presentation after the call? That's a question for Sebastian. We will let you know. But most likely after the second class, we will make this available, okay? We are recording with that purpose, so we will be sending in the email, but we wanna make sure that we finish the second class, which is on Thursday. Or maybe you get it before there, I don't know. We'll see. All right, so we have also Juan Morin shared about credit. He shared a tip where he says you can also roll over your high interest rate cards to 0% interest rate cards that give you a time frame. What's important is what he mentioned is like you'll pay a rollover fee, but it's better than the 25% rate probably, or whatever rate you're paying. And this is very important what he says, can't make it a recurring habit though. Yeah, that's very important. So thank you for sharing that, Juan, as well. So Juan has a question as well. I've always heard that life insurance is not a good idea for anyone who's young. Disability insurance is better idea, or doesn't own, or somebody who is young or doesn't own a home. The home reason is because you obviously have a mortgage, so you won't lose the home in the event of your death. Anybody who can answer that question? Omar, Anna, because they're young. Jasmine.
Yeah, I don't think the age is an issue with getting a life insurance policy. I have clients who are in their early 20s, and they get a policy not for the insurance, they get it to build up the cash value, because the younger they are, more of the money goes into the cash value and less for the insurance. So you don't have to have a mortgage, assets to get life insurance. And remember, the younger you are, the cheaper it is. So while you're young, that's when you want to get your insurance taken care of, because then you don't have to worry about trying to qualify when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, when it's going to be more expensive. That kind of makes sense.
Awesome, thank you, Anna.
And can I just add something really quick? I think this is also a thing about I don't know other cultures, but I know at least like in my immediate community, a lot of people tend to think life insurance is something that will be paid out once you die, then your family gets that life insurance. And maybe this is why you were asking if it's not a good idea to do it when you're young, because you probably have more life expectancy. But what we don't realize is that we could get the money that we put into our insurance, we could get that money back. We don't need to pass away in order to get that money. So that's the part that I think our community, at least the people that I know closely, they don't know that you could get the money out before you pass away, right? So he's like Omar said, the sooner you start putting money into that account, your money starts growing, just like the rule of 72 that Yasmin shared. If you're getting a good interest rate on money back in return in that account, then your money starts growing. You could pull it out at the time of retirement. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, that the life insurance is not just I pass away and my family gets that money. It's you can get that money, pull that money out before you pass away.
Awesome. Great. Jasmine, you want to add anything?
No, I was going to say the same thing that Anna is. A lot of people have that concept, life insurance is for when my family passed away. But a lot of the benefits with life insurance that our community lacks the knowledge of is that you can benefit from life insurance while you're still alive. And this is like one of the main reasons why we're doing this, is because we want everybody to understand better. A lot of the times our community doesn't ask the questions and they don't even know who to ask. And, that's why we're here. So that's a great question.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Juan, for the question. What I want to add is mainly like anything that you can do for your personal finances to build wealth or protect your family. will have to do with the specific situation that you have right now, and also your objectives and your goals in the future. So even though there's a lot of generalization in terms of like what type of plan or accounts are better than the other ones, or who would need something more than somebody else, the reality is that the right thing will be something that aligns with where you are right now and where you're going. In terms of what you mentioned, like you heard about, like maybe it's not necessary to have insurance because you have a mortgage. That sounds like it makes sense. However, the situation for a family that depends on the income of, let's say, the breadwinner, whether it's that breadwinner is the mom or the dad or both, if that income is not coming anymore and they cannot afford to pay the mortgage, then they will have to force to sell that home. Homes may not sell really right away. And we have seen people that have lost basically houses due to that, because they were not able to pay the home. We have seen people losing their home, not able to pay their house while they're alive, and without any type of illness. Definitely disability is something that everybody should consider, but mainly the need comes from like, it's your income will need to be replaced, whether you're disabled or after you're gone. And then the other, when it comes to building wealth with life insurance, we're going to talk about that actually in the next class. That's something that, like Jasmine mentioned, is something that you got to be cautious, because they are very complex and you need to get it right and have certain type of commitment if you're going to utilize those type of vehicles to build wealth. All right, so we have 3 more questions. I think somebody says, Alicia says, can you have more than one of these type of life insurance? Okay, and I think Omar already answered there. So yes.
Yeah. Yep. There's no limits. I mean, you just got to make sure you understand what are your needs, because insurance companies will definitely, start questioning you if you're like getting a $5 million policy, but you only make $30,000 a year. So you want to make sure you're getting a financial needs analysis, so the companies understand why you're trying to get the amounts that you want to get.
Great, awesome. Yeah, so most companies, what they will look at is that you do not get more than 25 times your income. Okay, 20 to 25 times, because then like they will start questioning, like Omar said, like, why you want so much life insurance? You may answer, hey, I want to build generational wealth, which we're gonna talk about that next week. But then there's another question is for the community: is it possible to still get life insurance for those with only ITIN and no social security number, our immigrant parents? Anna?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So you
just,
can
oh,
get.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Anna.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Yasmin.
So this is how passionate we are. Okay, this is you can get life insurance, especially for your parents if they have a tax ID number and they are paying their taxes, which is amazing. They might not qualify for the same plans that somebody with a social security number can qualify, but honestly, any coverage that they can get is better than nothing. And it's very important that our community knows this, because people think that just because you don't have a social, that you can't do a lot of things. But what they don't realize is that with the ITIN number, it's like a social. There's so much that you can do with it. There's so many benefits, and it's so much information that we're excited to share. Go ahead, Anna.
So I just wanted to say, this is exactly why I got into the financial industry. Like I shared earlier, I have DACA, so I do have a social security number. My husband, unfortunately, was not able to get DACA because he didn't meet all the requirements. He was older when he came to the US. So he doesn't have a social security number, but he does have an ITIN number. So when I met Jenny and Sebastian, we started talking about, well, we need a policy for my husband, because I have life insurance, I have my good social, but what if something happens to him? Like, what's going to happen to me and my kids? So he does have a good ITIN number. We were able to get him a policy, and we're able to get him covered. That way, God forbid anything happens to him, then my children and I are still going to be able to, make the payments, keep the mortgage payments going. And of course, it would be a horrible loss, but we wouldn't have to add the stress of the finances into that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna and Jasmine. And thank you, Sergio, for that question. Also, there's two more questions. And thank you, Alicia, for the previous question, the one for if you can have multiple life insurance. My wife is the one that has the most. Every year she buys more for me, for her, for everybody. So there's a question. Servando says, hello there. Is there some kind of comparison between putting money investing in a life insurance policy versus investing in the stock market? There are comparison, and actually the next class, Servando, we will be going over that. So make sure that you show up to the next class. Thanks for that question. Evelyn Valdez, good evening. Will you guys have resources like where to buy insurance based on every state? Yeah, definitely. And the way we work, so at Prosperity Leaders, we have multiple agents all through the United States. You will be able to connect. So Jasmine, Anna, and Omar, you can share your information there. Whoever invited you today will be able to help you as well. But even that person that invited you, you can reach out with no problems to Jasmine and Anna and Omar for any questions. We work as a team, so we all work together. There's no issue with that. You can ask them. The most important thing for that resources that we provide, Evelyn, it's figuring it out what's right for you. So all of the agents here are licensed. They will check if they're licensed in your state, or like sometimes they get new license if you want them to help them. And they work with over 150 providers when it comes to life insurance. But that's not the only thing that they do. They do other type of services like savings and stuff like that. But we're gonna go over more into detail in next class. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much to the speakers, Jasmine, Anna, and Omar. Thank you to Jenny that also helped create this event. I don't think that she's able to talk, but thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. We'll see you next Thursday at the same time.
Omar, would you be able to share the contact information, or should we just put it in the chat?
Yeah, put it in the chat, Anna.
Okay.
Everybody will receive also an email with the contact information of how they can reach Jasmine, Anna, Omar online, and everybody in the team. Right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the path.
Yes.
I don't care, go on and tear me apart.
Hey guys, I'm in James computer.
Nice job, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was such a great turnout.
That was great.
That's great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So you ladies did great. You gotta follow up with those people. Okay. So I will,
How can we get a list of the people who attended?
yes. We'll offer right now the link. I think that you have to please sign up.
It's a little hard to hear you, Sebastian.
Your music playing in
We
the
said
background.
music.
Is that better?
We got it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll share the link. I think that you have to click on sign up or log in. But I'll post it in the chat, the link with the registration, and there it is, whatever they wrote on the on there, who invited them and so forth. All right. So reach out to those who you invited that are there. I will be sending an email as well. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Did any of you record it, or is me who's recording?
I think it's
I
you.
think you're still
I think
recording.
it's you.